Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's Loso, in case you didn't know, so aka the spiritual healer. Sitting out here on this good August 16th, contemplating and thinking. This last few months has been really eye-opening for me because I'm always trying to work on myself and become better, and I sit and contemplating why certain things go the way they do. And I realize that a lot of times we're all in toxic relationships that we don't know or that we can't see that's toxic, or that we make justifications for why they're that way, or put false blame on other people, whatever have you, they're still toxic. And so I was just thinking, like, why is it so hard to get out of toxic relationships, even when you know that the other person is, or even you know that the whole environment's toxic? Because I'm not going to blame it or place the blame on another person, because a toxic relationship takes two parties. The toxicity is coming from a lot of different sources. You know, a lot of different things make you toxic. Not to mention, most people don't know how to be in, healthy relationships. They've never seen them. Be it firsthand with their parents. A lot of things that we learn and we do is passed down not from only our DNA and our genes, but the stuff we see every day, the environments we're in. So it's kind of hard to ever find someone who is, it's kind of hard to be in any kind of healthy relationship if the environment you're in is toxic. Now, you can be a positive person in that environment, but a lot of times, even when two individuals are in a relationship and it seems to be going good, that environment will soon change the individual. And that's a lot of studies that have been done. Just like they say, when a good kid's gone bad, it's a lot of times they blame the environment, not realizing the people and the places we are is what consists of our environment. If we're around people who are in their own toxic relationships, it will spew to ours. Be it they're either talking about all the problems they go to, they see similarities that we don't see, but they can point out for us and justify and understand why it's that way. So it's really difficult to understand and even try to grasp it. But I sat down and just kind of thought about it early this morning, and some of the things that keep us in toxic relationships are the false attachments, the bonds we build over our dysfunction, our stress. People build bonds over alcohol, drug usage, bad parents. If my mom or father was a screamer, and that person opens up to me like, yeah, that's how their parents were, then we bond on that, not realizing that that's something we learned. So first time we get into an argument or a disagreement, we mimic what we've seen from our parents. We mimic what we've grown up seeing, you know what I mean? And if the other person in the relationship was learned the aggressive traits from that parent, to be the first yeller, or the reason abusive relationships are the way they are, because the other person is the person who wants to lash out first. That's a toxicity in there. But the other part of toxic relationships is the false roles we place on ourselves. The fact that we believe that we're supposed to argue that way, or I never learned how to do anything different. A lot of people's excuses are they don't know how to communicate. And that's an excuse, because you can communicate how you want someone to communicate with you. And the only reason I can point these things out is because I understand that, because I'm a victim of that. There's a lot of my toxic traits that I didn't realize I had until I sat down and evaluated why some of my relationships didn't work, why a lot of the things that I've been through ended with me being by myself. And I take the blame because I do know there's things that I have to work on. And I also realize that a lot of times I'm attracting those same people. The law of attraction is what you put out, you get back. Even if you're putting out something positive, there is two sides to every coin. A lot of us don't understand that there is shadow work we have to do. Things that we try to keep from other people knowing. We have to learn to work with that and not just suppress it. A lot of people, when they first meet in relationships, they suppress their yelling side. They might not drink as much as they usually do and get pissy drunk and just be lashing out. There's a lot of things that they try to hide and conceal. And the more you're around a person, the more you deem that you're in a relationship, the more that you think you like this person, the more interaction, the more you start bringing your real self to the surface. And for those who have shadows that are repressed because of society not accepting it or whatever have you, those are the relationships that really are the most toxic, because they are the underlining. Those are the ones where passive aggressiveness comes in, always blaming the other person, not taking responsibility. Those are the repressed shadows that we hide. And so, all this comes back to loving yourself and mental health. Mental health is a big thing, and I always used to kind of think about how impactful mental health can be, not realizing your mind is what creates your reality. How you think and feel creates your reality. So the boom in mental health nowadays is merely because people don't know how to deal with themselves or don't want to. And I see an influx of commercials on YouTube and things about people who should look into therapy. And I'm not knocking it, but the only person that can really fix you is you. Now, talking to other people and getting honest opinions, that's a good thing. But you can go to therapy and be in denial and not believe the therapist knows what they're talking about, or reject some of the answers. A lot of times, those people who are in therapy, when the therapist talks to them, they've heard it before from family members, but because that family member or that loved one or somebody else, a friend or whatever, told them, they didn't hold it with as much weight. So therapy can be good because you might need an unbiased opinion. But ultimately, just learning about yourself, being honest about what your faults are, things that you might always find someone else doing, it's probably because you do it, And I had to be honest with myself. I didn't think I was judgmental, but I realized if I'm in a relationship and I'm telling somebody, what I think about them and they didn't ask, then I'm judging. One of the biggest toxic things for myself is unsolicited advice. I had a false perception that I was a healer or a helper. And when I say a false perception of being a healer, I am a healer, but I have to first heal myself. I have to first heal the wounds that I had that were repressed from my childhood and previous relationships, and just me not doing certain things. Sometimes we have only a bottled up tension from dreams and desires that we had that we suppressed and we didn't think were good. Like me doing social media videos. I've always kind of second guessed myself on that, not realizing that might permeate into my relationship. Because I'm second guessing myself, I start second guess my relationship partner. I start second guessing my friends. I start second guess everything, because it's a domino effect. And if you don't know how to deal with these shadow feelings, it comes to light eventually. And I accept full responsibility for that. But I also know that nothing happens by coincidence. Each relationship you have was made before you even got to this planet. It was a contractual agreement. Some of us might believe that, some of us might not. But we all have contracts in heaven or the universe, whatever your religious belief or whatever your spirituality is. Before you got to this planet, you were a being. Whether you can accept it or know it, that's not for me to decide, but you were a being. That being also had a life. And that life transitioned to this life. And when we leave this life, we transition to another life. Again, some people call it heaven, nirvana. Some people call it hell, purgatory, whatever your belief is. You have continuous life because the spirit is energy. And I believe this realm right here, Earth, is a place to learn and understand the spirit with a lower vibration, because the spirit is a higher vibration. This is a lower vibration. This is a dense vibration of reality where everything is tangible and touching. But this reality we're in is actually not the beginning of anything. This whole reality is reactive. It's the effect. It's not the cause. Some actions on this plane of existence may seem like cause and effect, but it's truly not. Going back to the mental health, what you think about is what you get. What you think about yourself is what you draw. And in negative relationships, if you got a negative perception of yourself, you're going to draw those negative people to put you in toxic relationships. And sometimes you're the negative person that's drawn into a relationship to show the other person how they need to grow. Not saying that they're wrong, but growth is for everybody. And if you're the negative entity in their relationship showing them the growth, that's also a lesson for you. But if you're not spiritually aware or mentally aware or mature enough to even want to deal with your own issues, you will push them off. A lot of women or men, I take that back, a lot of humans who seem very sexually promiscuous is because they're always channeling their dysfunction on somebody else. So they leave a relationship believing it's the other person to take that same baggage to another relationship. And then when they come into the new relationship, first the arguments start because they're really mad at the ex or the baby daddy or the baby mama. So the arguments are because they're mad at somebody else, but they're at home with you. So now those arguments come to life. And yes, I'm speaking from examples, from real life experience. So because their dysfunction is with another person, they bring it home. And me, because I think I'm a healer, I'm always trying to help and ask and want to be. And some people don't know how to deal with it. Some people aren't mature enough to even sit down and say, you know what, I got a problem. I don't need to drink right now. I might need to sit and write down what my issues are. But no, they turn to drinks or smoke or whatever their pleasure is. You know what I'm saying? Having sex, going to clubs, whatever their vice is, they turn to that to suppress what it is that they really handle. The handle is they have an issue with the other person, and they probably got an issue with the other person because they have control issues. They want to always be right. They always want to be the boss. So when they can't control it, they go to the vice, and then now they bring that energy to you. And that's why it's mindful to be understanding of toxic relationships, because you can be in a relationship that's toxic and you not be the toxic person, but you attract that toxicity by how you view yourself. Oh, you're a healer. Some women say they're nurturers. Or men can be nurturers. I apologize for keep throwing it on women or men, but some individuals think that that's their purpose on this planet. And for them, that's their truth, because whatever you think is your truth. So if you believe you're here to help people get better, you will be here. But you also got to realize, because you're taking on that particular energy, you will have to go through some of those trials and tribulations. Some of the people who, like myself, who I believe I'm a healer, I have to go through the reality that I can't heal anybody who doesn't think they need to be healed. I can't help anybody. You can't save a drowning person who don't know they drowning. And if you don't realize that, they can make you drown by you trying to save them. So there's a lot of things that you got to have self-reflection. That's why in work, going inside and working and meditating is the best key, because when you do that, you find a sense of calm within yourself. That energy will project out, and that's what you will attract back. That's the type of individual you attract back. Those are the type of people you attract back. When you walk around and you have a good, a decent energy, and people just speak and smile at you for no reason, sometimes they trying to be, but a lot of times it's just because your energy's good. When you walk around and see people, oh man, Ali Sadiq said it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, not 6 in the morning. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. Somebody wake up and they already got an attitude. Like, I've been in relationships where people wake up because of the dream they had. They have a real live attitude. They will be mad the whole day. And then come to find, I'm like, what happened? Man, last night in my dream, you was talking to my cousin and da-da-da, and I ain't like that because you said this. And then they don't realize that mentally they created this whole charade about what you did, and real life mad to the point where they don't realize that it's made up and still will hold a grudge. And unfortunately, and I'm speaking from experience, instead of me saying, you know what, this motherfucker batshit crazy, I need to get away from him. Now I sit around and try to talk. Oh, you want to take a drink, or we can smoke, or do, and I'm trying to be that healer, not realizing this person doesn't want to be fixed. They want to be psychotic. They want to be in that energy, because honestly, everybody's a spirit in flesh form. Some of the people that we come in contact with are negative spirits. They don't want to change. And because of the negativity that I have by when I drink or certain things, I bring those spirits to me, especially when you're drinking. If you're drinking, you go to the club and you meeting people, you are pulling those spirits to you. Even if you have a good spirit while you're drinking, you can be in a happy place. You're still pulling those spirits, because negative spirits want to drain happy spirits. So when you drink and you go to a club and that person you think like, oh, that might be the one, and then you find out that they ain't the one, it's because you drew them to you. And if you were a positive energy, they wanted your light. What really, really, really makes relationships turn south is when you start realizing that you're being drained by the other person, and you stop giving that energy. When you stop giving that caring energy, because they're used to that, especially in my scenarios and my circumstances, me trying to be a healer, a lot of times I'm always understanding. So if somebody's telling me, I'm like, yeah, I can get it. I'm able to relate with certain people. I'm able to relate with certain situations. Even if I haven't physically been through it, I can see from your point of view. Well, most people need that energy, because that's energy. When you're able to take somebody's consciousness and put yourself in their shoes, you know what I'm saying, have compassion for them, they're literally draining your energy. When you stop and turn that water faucet off, that's when they get really ugly and angry. That's when they get mad. That's when they say you're controlling. Nah, I was always giving you this type of advice. It's just before I was able to relate to you, show compassion, maybe even embrace you. Now I'm like, man, you just need to fix it. But by me telling you to fix it, you don't look at the sources that's broken. It's just the way I say fix it. Now all of a sudden I'm telling you what to do, which means in actuality I am, but that just means you don't want to be a better person. Or that just means that your nature is naturally negative. Either way, it's both of our responsibilities to do what's best for ourselves. And so in most toxic relationships, you have to figure out, are you want to be in that relationship first off? Then you got to decide if you're the toxic energy. In some relationships, I've been the toxic energy. I've been the person who always sees the negative. And it's true. It's true. Because one of the things that most toxic people don't do is individual growth. They don't look to better themselves. They look to be complacent where they're at. They like certain environments, and there's nothing wrong with that. People get comfortable. But that's another form of a toxicity in a relationship. People who are complacent and don't want to grow. When the other person wants to grow, like they used to do back, what was it, like the TV shows back in the day, they in a relationship and one of them the girlfriend gets ready to go to college, and the dude is all of a sudden mad or sad because she growing out to better herself instead of trying to go to college with her. You know what I'm saying? Not saying you got to chase that person, but that's my example that I'm giving. Like sometimes one person wants to grow. The other person shows their toxicity merely because they refuse to grow. And that's a choice too. But not to be the dead dog. This is just my little early morning rant. It's real early. Real early. So day is still beautiful. I'm about to go over there and talk to my baby boy. He should be up by now. Sun is up. So it's low, so in case you didn't know. So just dropping some food for thought. You know, if any of these things resonated with you, you know, you ain't even got to let me know. Just go do some internal work, you know. Peace.